The Triumph's engine cuts at 6:47 p.m. The sudden silence swallowed by the thunder of 40 bigger bikes parked outside Red's Roadhouse. Margaret Sullivan plants her boots on the cracked asphalt, feeling every one of her 68 years in her knees, feeling the weight of the helmet as she lifts it off, silver hair cut practical and short. The vintage 1972 Bonneville looks small next to the chrome monsters flanking it, their owners already staring from the diner's windows, already laughing. She can see their mouths moving behind the glass. The Iron Valley Bike Rally brings out the young bucks every year. All that testosterone and leather and attitude. She's been riding longer than most of them have been alive. They don't know that. They see the small bike, the worn paint. The old woman dismounting slowly. They see a punchline. Jake Brennan pushes through the door first, 32 and cocky. His crew behind him like a pack. Tommy, the tall one. Derek with the neck tattoos. Sarah, the only woman in their group, blonde and hard-eyed. Check it out, Jake announces to no one in particular, voice carrying across the parking lot. Someone's grandma got lost on the way to church. His crew laughs on cue. Maggie doesn't look at them. She's learned that lesson decades ago. She kicks down the Bonneville stand with precision, pats the tank once like an old friend. The leather jacket comes off careful, her shoulders stiff from the 2-hour ride from Harrisburg. The late September air hits cool against her thin frame. Underneath, her white t-shirt is clean but old, and the jacket itself tells a story in faded patches, if anyone bothered to look close. Names of tracks and years, stitched in thread gone pale with time. Red's neon sign flickers above them all, casting pink light across the assembled machines. Maggie folds her jacket over her arm, the patches facing inward now. Hidden, she walks toward the diner entrance. Jake hasn't moved from blocking the doorway. "Ma'am, you sure you got the right place?" Senior Center's about 5 miles back. His grin is wide and empty. Maggie meets his eyes for 1 second. Just one. Then she steps around him without a word, and something in that silence makes him move aside without knowing why. Before I continue the story, please subscribe. I need to reach 1,000 subscribers so I can keep bringing you stories like this every day. It's just one click for you, but it means a lot to me. Thank you. The diner smells like coffee and grease, classic rock playing low from speakers that crackle with age. Maggie takes a corner booth. The red vinyl cracked and patched with duct tape. She can hear them without trying. Jake's voice carries, like he wants the whole county to know his thoughts. "I'm just saying. That thing outside looks like something my kid's sister had with training wheels." Tommy's laugh is loud and performative. You think she knows how to start it, or does someone wind her up with a key? Derek leans back in his booth, arms spread wide. $50 says she's looking for the bingo hall. Got confused by all the motorcycles. Sarah's the only one not laughing as hard, but she's not stopping them either. Red Morrison comes over with the coffee pot, his weathered face tight with disapproval. He's 72, owned this place for 40 years, seen everything the Iron Valley has to offer. "Coffee, Maggie?" His voice is gentle. Deliberate use of her name. "Please." She turns her mug right side up. The ceramic is warm in her hands. Red pours, sets the pot down, looks back at Jake's table with clear intent. "Red, don't," Maggie says quiet. "Those boys don't know who they're—" It doesn't matter. She meets his eyes. Means it. Red's jaw works, but he nods, picks up his pot, walks away. Jake's voice rises another notch. "Hey, Red, you got a kid's menu? Maybe some crayons for your customer." The crew erupts. Maggie sips her coffee. It's hot and bitter, and exactly what she needs. She watches the parking lot through the window, watches the sun dropping lower, turning everything orange and gold. Her Bonneville sits quiet among the giants. Small, but solid. Paid for 3 times over. Still running after 53 years because she maintains it with her own hands. The phone in her jacket pocket vibrates. She ignores it. It vibrates again. Persistent. The 3rd time she pulls it out, sees Danny's name on the screen, feels something cold drop through her chest. Danny never calls. He texts. always texts. She answers, "Danny? Grandma." His voice cracks, young and scared and trying not to be. "Grandma, I need help. I'm in trouble. Real trouble." The diner noise fades to nothing. Maggie's hand tightens on the phone until her knuckles go white. "Where are you?" Behind Danny's voice, she hears other voices. Adult voices. A man laughing. "They said I have until midnight. $15,000. Or..." The phone cuts off. Maggie's face has gone pale as winter. Maggie calls back. The number rings 4 times, then goes to voicemail. She tries again. Same result. Her hands are shaking now, the phone nearly slipping from her grip. She forces herself to breathe, to think. Danny's 19. Smart kid. Full scholarship to community college, but scholarships don't cover books or housing or food. She sends what she can, but her social security doesn't stretch far. The phone rings in her hand, and she answers before the first ring finishes. "Danny? This isn't Danny." The voice is male, older, amused. "This is Marcus Webb. You're the grandmother? Where is he? Is he hurt?" "Not yet." Webb lets that hang in the air between them. "Your grandson borrowed $12,000 from me 6 months ago. Said he'd pay it back with his semester refund. Refund came and went. He's been avoiding my calls." Maggie's mind races. Danny never mentioned borrowing money. Never mentioned any Marcus Webb. That interest has been running. "We're at $15,000 now. You bring me $15,000 in cash by midnight, you get your grandson back in one piece." I need to talk to him. I need to know he's fine. He'll stay fine if you do exactly what I say. Midnight. Old Henderson Industrial Site on Route 47. Past the quarry. You know it? She knows it. Abandoned warehouses. No witnesses. I know it. Come alone. You bring cops. The boy's friend goes down too. Kid named Michael Chen. He's the one who introduced Danny to me. Vouched for him. Police show up. Michael gets charged as an accessory. You want that? Maggie closes her eyes. Michael's a good kid. Pre-med. One arrest could destroy his future. Danny would never forgive himself. No police, she says. Smart lady. Midnight. 15,000. Cash. The line goes dead. Maggie sets the phone down on the table, stares at her hands. They're shaking badly now, age and fear and fury all mixed together. She has $3,000 in her savings account. 3,000 against 15. 4 hours to find 12,000 more. 4 hours to save her grandson. In the background, Jake's crew is still laughing about something. Their voices distant and meaningless. Red catches her expression from behind the counter, starts moving toward her booth. Maggie stands on unsteady legs, dropping $2 next to her untouched coffee. She needs to get to Danny. She needs her bike to start. She needs a miracle. Maggie hits the parking lot at a pace her body hasn't managed in years. Her hip screaming protest. The triumph. She needs the triumph. 4 hours to get to Route 47, to find money she doesn't have, to save Danny. Her hands fumble with the helmet, jamming it on wrong the first time, fixing it with shaking fingers. She throws her leg over the seat, wincing at the pull in her lower back. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters except starting this engine. She turns the key, hits the ignition. The Bonneville coughs once and dies. No, not now. Not tonight. She tries again. The engine turns over weakly, sputters. Nothing. Oh, come on. Jake's voice cuts through the parking lot. This is too good. His crew has followed him outside, drawn by the entertainment. Tommy's actually recording on his phone. Grandma can't get her moped started. Someone call AAA, Derek adds. Or maybe a hearse. They're laughing like it's the funniest thing they've ever seen. Maggie ignores them, pumps the throttle, tries the ignition again. Her hands are shaking so badly she can barely grip the key. The starter motor whines, but the engine won't catch. She knows this sound. Fuel line. Maybe the carburetor. 53 years old, and the Triumph picks tonight to quit on her. Please, she whispers to the bike. Please start. Please. She's crying now and doesn't care who sees. Her hands won't stop shaking. She dismounts, crouches beside the engine, trying to check the fuel connections, but her vision is blurring with tears and panic and desperate fear. Danny's face in her mind. 19 years old and scared, and she can't even get her damn bike started. Jake wolf whistles. That's it. Get down there. Maybe you can push it. Red's door bangs open. Jake Brennan, you shut your mouth right now. Red's crossing the lot fast. Sees Maggie's face. Sees the tears. Sees something's broken beyond just the motorcycle. Maggie, what's wrong? Sarah's not laughing anymore. She's watching Maggie's hands shake, watching an old woman fall apart over a broken bike, and something in her face changes. Jake, Sarah says quiet, sharp. Back off. What? We're just… I said, back off. Sarah moves toward Maggie, her boots loud on the asphalt. Ma'am? What's going on? Maggie waves her off without looking up. I'm fine. Just need to… Her voice breaks. She's not fine. She hasn't been fine since that phone call. Sarah crouches beside her, ignores the dismissal. You're not fine. What do you need? I need this bike to start. I need… Maggie's hands slip on the fuel line connection, scraping her knuckle. The pain barely registers. I need to go. I need to get there. Get where? Red's standing over them now, hand on Maggie's shoulder. Maggie looks up at both of them, at these near strangers, and the words come out broken and desperate. My grandson. They have my grandson. The parking lot goes quiet. Jake stops mid-laugh. Tommy lowers his phone. Even Derek's grin fades. Who has your grandson? Sarah's voice is steady, controlled. I can't. Maggie shakes her head. I just need my bike to work. I need to get to him. Please. Jake steps closer, skepticism written across his face. Lady, if someone's got your grandson, you need to call the cops, not… I can't call the police. Maggie's voice is fierce now through the tears. His friend will be charged. I can't. I just need to get there. I need to. She's falling apart, and she knows it, and she can't stop it. Sarah looks up at Jake. Her eyes are hard as stone. You got tools in your truck? Sarah, we don't even know. You got tools or not? Jake's jaw works. He looks at Maggie, at this crying old woman, with the shaking hands and the desperation pouring off her like heat. Looks at Sarah's expression. Yeah, I got tools. Tommy's already moving toward the bike, drawn by something he can't name. He picks up Maggie's leather jacket from where she dropped it on the ground, starts to hand it back, then stops. The jacket's inside out in his hands. The patches. He's looking at the patches. Hey, Tommy says quiet. Jake, look at this. Daytona, Laguna Seca, Talladega. Years stamped in faded thread. 1979. 1982. 1984. Professional circuits. Championship events. A name embroidered in gold that's gone almost gray with age. Phoenix. What the hell? Tommy breathes. Jake drops to one knee beside the Triumph, pulls his flashlight from his belt, shines it on the engine. His movements are grudging, irritated, but his hands are steady. He knows bikes. That much is clear in how he touches the machine, checking connections with practiced efficiency. Sarah stays close to Maggie, one hand on the old woman's shoulder while she rocks slightly, trying to compose herself. Tommy holds the jacket like it's something precious, running his thumb over the faded patches. Ma'am, he says. These patches. Daytona 200. Laguna Seca. These are professional circuits. Maggie glances at him, not really seeing. Her mind is on Route 47, on Danny's scared voice, on midnight ticking closer. I used to race a little, long time ago. Red makes a sound that's half laugh, half something darker, bitter recognition. A little? He's shaking his head, looking at Jake like he's witnessing the world's greatest joke. You're working on Margaret Sullivan's bike right now, boy. You're talking to Phoenix. Jake's hands stop moving. He stays crouched by the engine, but his head comes up slow. Phoenix? Tommy's eyes go wide. Phoenix? Like the Phoenix? The one who beat every man at the Daytona 200 inches 1,979 red finishes. Took the championship 3 years running. Disappeared in '85. Left everyone wondering what happened to her. Jake stands up, stares at Maggie. The Margaret Sullivan? That's impossible. Phoenix was... He stops, calculating dates in his head, looking at this 68-year-old woman with tears on her face and shaking hands. My grandfather raced in the 72nds. He talked about Phoenix like she was a ghost story. Said she rode like the devil was chasing her and nothing could catch her. Said she humiliated half the circuit before she vanished. Maggie's not listening. She's checking her phone again. No messages. No calls. 7:12 p.m. Less than 5 hours. Please, she says to Jake. To all of them. I don't care about racing. I don't care about any of that. I just need this bike to work. My grandson needs me. Jake looks at the Triumph, at this legendary machine under his hands, at the woman who rode it into history. His whole expression has changed. Ma'am, he says, this fuel pump's shot. It's not getting fixed tonight. Not fast enough. Maggie's face crumbles. Sarah catches her before her knees give out. Red's already moving back toward the diner, his stride purposeful despite his age. Don't move. Any of you. He disappears inside while Maggie sags against Sarah, her breathing ragged. Tommy's still holding the jacket, staring at the patches like they might disappear. Derek's moved closer, the mockery gone from his face entirely. Jake stands frozen between the bike and the woman, his mind clearly racing through implications he doesn't want to believe. Red emerges 2 minutes later carrying a framed photograph, the glass catching the parking lot lights. He walks straight to Jake, holds it out. Third one, from the left. That look familiar? Jake takes the frame, stares. The photo is old, colors slightly faded, but the image is crystal clear. A woman in her mid-20s stands on a podium, trophy raised overhead, blonde hair flying in the wind. Her racing leathers are covered in sponsor patches. Her smile is fierce and triumphant and alive. Around her, scattered across the track, are a dozen male racers. Their faces show everything: shock, disbelief, respect they don't want to give but can't deny. Jake's finger touches the glass over one face in particular. A young man, maybe 30, dark hair and cocky grin that Jake sees in his mirror every morning. That's my grandfather, Robert Brennan. His voice comes out hollow. He told me about this race. Said Phoenix came out of nowhere. Said she took curves at speeds that should have killed her. Said she made them all look like amateurs. He looks up at Maggie, really sees her now. He said it was the most beautiful riding he'd ever witnessed. Said whoever Phoenix was, she understood motorcycles like they were part of her soul. Maggie barely hears him. Can you fix the bike or not? Jake sets the photo down carefully on the Triumph seat. Not in time. Fuel pump needs replacing. I'd have to source the part. That's a '72 Bonneville. Parts aren't exactly. He stops, looks at his crew, at Tommy and Derek and Sarah. Something clicks in his expression. Complete transformation from the cocky kid who mocked an old woman 15 minutes ago. But that doesn't matter. It's the only thing that matters, Maggie says desperately. I need to get to... You're not going alone. Jake's voice is hard now, decided. You're Phoenix. You rode with us before we even existed. And we don't leave riders behind. Maggie wipes her face with the back of her hand, forces herself to stand straight despite Sarah's supporting arm. No time for weakness. No time for anything except the truth. My daughter got pregnant at 17. 1,990. The father disappeared. I quit racing to help raise the baby. That baby was Danny. The words come fast, clipped, efficient. My daughter died when Danny was 4. Car accident. So I raised him myself. Social Security and part-time work at a library. Racing didn't matter anymore. Nothing mattered except keeping him safe, keeping him fed, getting him through school. Jake's listening like every word is being carved into stone. He's 19 now, full scholarship to community college, but scholarships don't cover everything. He borrowed money from some dealer named Marcus Webb, $12,000 6 months ago. Now Webb says it's 15 with interest, says Danny has until midnight, or... Her voice breaks again, but she pushes through. They're holding him at the Henderson Industrial Site on Route 47. I can't call the police because Danny's friend will be charged as accessory. I need $15,000 in cash in less than 5 hours. How much do you have? Sarah asks. The question is direct, practical. $3,000 in savings. That's it. That's everything I have. Maggie meets Jake's eyes. I wasn't asking for help. I was just trying to get my bike started so I could get there. So I could figure something out. So I could... 15,000, Jake says. Not a question. A confirmation. He looks at Tommy. At Derek. At Sarah. Something passes between them without words. Brotherhood. Code. Whatever you call it when people decide together that something matters. Tommy's already got his phone out. Scrolling through contacts. Derek's nodding. That fierce nod that means he's in completely. Sarah's eyes have gone hard and bright. Dangerous. We're getting your grandson back, Jake says. His voice carries the weight of an oath. And we're getting him back tonight. Maggie shakes her head. You don't understand. I'm not asking for money. I can't pay you back. I don't have your Phoenix. Jake cuts her off. You rode when women weren't supposed to ride. You beat my grandfather and every other man who thought they owned the track. You're a legend. He steps closer. Legends don't ask for help. We give it, whether you want it or not. Jake pulls out his phone, scrolls to a group chat labeled Iron Valley Riders. His thumbs move fast across the screen, typing with the urgency of someone who's made up his mind and won't be swayed. Emergency mobilization. Red's Roadhouse. Now. Bring cash. All of it. He hits send. Looks up at Maggie. I've got 15 more riders within 20 minutes of here. They'll come. You can't? Maggie starts. You don't know these people. You don't know what they're capable of. Marcus Webb isn't some... We know exactly what he is, Derek says. His voice is flat. Hard. Webb's crew deals out of 3 locations in the county. They're dealers, not soldiers. They rely on intimidation and people being too scared to push back. Tommy's phone is already ringing. He answers, walks a few steps away, starts talking fast and low. Jake's phone buzzes, then buzzes again. And again. Messages flooding in. Sarah still has her hand on Maggie's shoulder, and now she squeezes. Makes the older woman look at her. Listen to me. You spent 40 years raising a kid alone. You gave up racing. You gave up everything. You think we're going to let some dealer take your grandson because you're 12,000 short? I can't pay you back, Maggie says. Her voice is desperate, ashamed. I don't have anything. I can't. You're not asking. Sarah's voice cuts through like steel. We're telling. This is what we do. This is the code. You rode with us back in the day even if we didn't know it. Even if you were out there alone making history while we were still in diapers. You're a rider. That makes you family. Jake's phone keeps buzzing. He's reading messages, nodding. Marcus is already in, bringing 300. Lisa's got 5. Davidson brothers are pooling 800 between them. He looks up. It's happening, ma'am. The Iron Valley Riders are mobilizing. We're getting your grandson back tonight. Red's moved to stand beside Maggie, his weathered hand on her other shoulder. 2 generations of riders holding her up, keeping her standing when her legs want to give out. Tommy ends his call. Walks back. Jimmy's coming. He's bringing everyone from the north side meet. That's another 8 bikes. The parking lot feels different now. Charged. The air itself has changed from mockery to mission. Maggie's phone shows 7:28 p.m., 4.5 hours until midnight. Until Danny. Jake meets her eyes. We're going to need you to tell us everything you know about Webb. Everything Danny told you. We do this smart. We do this right. And we bring him home. Jake pulls out a small notebook from his jacket, flips it open, starts sketching. Henderson Industrial Site. I know it. 3 warehouses, main office building, all abandoned, except for squatters and dealers who use it for meats. 2 access roads, one from Route 47, one service road from the east. He's drawing as he talks, quick, efficient lines. Webb uses the middle warehouse. Good sightlines, only one entrance you can drive to. He'll have lookouts. Maggie leans over the sketch, forces her mind to focus past the fear. How many people? Webb usually runs with 5 or 6. They're armed, but they're not trained. Dealers, like Derek said. They intimidate college kids and addicts. They've never faced real opposition. Jake looks up, his eyes hard. We're going to give them opposition they can't ignore. Red's already moving back into the diner. He returns with his register drawer. Counts out bills with practiced speed. 1,000. It's yours, Maggie, and I'm closing early. He flips the sign on the door, kills the neon. Anyone asks, we're doing inventory. Tommy's phone rings again. He answers, listens, grins. Chen's got 1,200. He's riding in from Millville. Derek's making his own calls now. Yeah, it's real. Phoenix. The actual Phoenix. Her grandson's in trouble. He listens. I don't care if you're at your kid's recital. This is code. Get here. Jake's phone shows 7:41 p.m. We've got until 11:30 to be in position. That gives us 3 hours and 49 minutes to gather money, gather riders, and get to Henderson. It's 40 minutes from here, so we need to roll by 10:45 latest. Sarah's doing math on her phone. If we get 30 riders averaging 300 each, that's 9,000. Plus Maggie's 3, plus Red's 1. We need 2,000 more. We'll get it, Jake says. There's no doubt in his voice. Just certainty. He looks at his crew, at Maggie, at Red. Here's how this works. We show up with overwhelming numbers. 30, 40 bikes if we can manage it. Engines running, lights on, complete circle around that warehouse. Webb's crew will see that we're not 20 scared kids. We're organized. We're committed. They're armed, Maggie says quietly. So are we. Derek replies. But we're not looking for a firefight. We're looking to make them understand that taking our money and walking away is their best option. Their only option. Jake nods. Violence is the last resort. Intimidation is the weapon. Numbers are the threat. We pay the debt. We take Danny. We make it clear that Webb's done operating in this county. The parking lot is filling with sound now. Engines in the distance. Bikes coming. The first bike arrives at 7:53 p.m. A Harley-Davidson Road King. Rider dismounting fast. Marcus Chen, 42, owns an auto shop 3 towns over. He walks straight to Jake, pulls an envelope from his jacket. 1,200. It's everything in my safe. He looks at Maggie. Phoenix? Really? She nods. Can't speak. Marcus shakes his head in wonder, moves to stand with the growing group. 2 more bikes arrive together. Then 4. Then a cluster of 6, their engines creating a wall of sound that echoes off Red's diner. Each rider brings cash. 50s, 100s. Crumpled 20s from wallet folds. A young woman named Lisa contributes 500 and her father's racing magazine from 1,979. Phoenix on the cover. Maggie stares at her own young face. That fierce blonde stranger who disappeared into motherhood and obscurity. Derek's laid out a leather jacket on the hood of his truck, creating a makeshift collection point. He sorts bills with methodical precision, counting as they come in. 3,000, 5,000, 6,800. The pile grows. Tommy's greeting riders as they arrive, explaining in quick bursts. Phoenix's grandson. Dealers got him. 15 grand by midnight. We're getting him back. Nobody questions it. Nobody asks why. The code is simple. A rider needs help. You help. An old pickup truck pulls in at 8:17, and a man in his 70s gets out slowly. Walter Kemp. He walks with a cane, but his eyes are sharp and clear. He's carrying something wrapped in newspaper. I heard Phoenix was here. Heard she needs help. He unwraps the newspaper. Inside is a racing trophy from 1982, third place, Talladega. The engraving reads Walter Kemp. You beat me by 17 seconds. I've kept this trophy for 43 years waiting to meet you again. His voice cracks. Wanted you to sign it, after we get your boy back. Maggie takes the trophy with shaking hands. The weight of it. The memory. Walter pulls $500 from his wallet. Adds it to Derek's pile. More bikes. More riders. Word has spread beyond the Iron Valley Club now. This is Phoenix. This is legend made real, and asking for nothing but getting everything. Derek counts again at 8:34. His voice carries across the parking lot. $14,000. 1,000 short. Jake's already pulling out his phone again. They're close. So close. Maggie watches the pile of cash, watches these strangers become family, and feels something break open in her chest that's been closed for 40 years. The final rider arrives at 9:31 p.m. with $300, and the missing $700 comes from Jake's own savings, pulled from an envelope he keeps in his saddlebag for emergencies. This qualifies. 14,000 becomes 15,000 exactly. Derek bags the cash in a weatherproof motorcycle pack, hands it to Jake with the weight of a sacred trust. At 9:47 p.m., 32 motorcycles fire up in sequence. The sound is tremendous, apocalyptic. A rolling thunder that shakes the windows of Red's diner and sets off car alarms 2 blocks away. Jake's Harley-Davidson Fatboy idles at the front, Maggie climbing on behind him, her arms wrapping around his waist. Her Triumph stays behind, wounded, and she touches its seat once before turning away. Sarah pulls up beside them on her Indian Scout. Tommy and Derek flank the formation on their matching Road Kings. Behind them, 30 more bikes arrange themselves in precise V formation, 2 columns stretching back across the parking lot like wings of some massive predatory bird. Military precision learned from veterans in the club. From years of riding together, from knowing without speaking how to move as one. Jake looks back, catches Maggie's eye in his mirror. You good? She nods. Her hands are steady now. 68 years old and steady with purpose. The shaking is gone, burned away by the presence of these riders, by the reality of help she never asked for but desperately needed. Jake raises his fist. The signal. Throttles rev in unison. Then they roll. Out of Red's parking lot onto Iron Valley Road, the formation holding tight. Speed limit exactly. No showboating. No drawing attention. Professional. Committed. 32 bikes moving like a single organism through the September night. The wind hits Maggie's face, and for a moment she's 25 again, racing Daytona, the world nothing but speed and purpose, and the road ahead. Jake's voice comes back to her over the engine noise, shouting to be heard. We show up together. We stay together. Circle the warehouse, lights on, engines running. I do the talking. We pay the debt. We take Danny. Nobody gets hurt unless they make it necessary. And if they make it necessary? Maggie shouts back. Then they learn what happens when you mess with our family. Jake replies. The formation banks left onto Highway 9, heading north toward Route 47, toward Henderson, toward Danny. Maggie's grip tightens on Jake's jacket. Not from fear, from readiness. Phoenix rides again. The highway stretches dark ahead, broken only by their headlights cutting through September night. The formation holds perfect. 32 bikes moving like blood through veins, purposeful and unstoppable. Maggie leans forward, her mouth close to Jake's ear so he can hear over the engine roar. I started racing because my father said I couldn't. Said motorcycles were for men, so I proved him wrong every chance I got. Her voice is stronger now, steadied by motion and purpose. Racing was freedom, pure freedom. Nothing between me and the road except skill and nerve and will. Jake nods, keeps his eyes forward. They pass the turnoff for Millville, 23 miles from Henderson. My grandfather used to tell me about Phoenix. Said you appeared one season like smoke. Nobody knew where you came from. Said you rode like gravity didn't apply to you the same way it applied to everyone else. I was just faster, Maggie says, and more desperate. Had everything to prove and nothing to lose. What made you stop? The question is gentle, personal. My daughter needed me more than the track did. That's what it comes down to. Who you protect. What matters when everything else falls away. She's quiet for a moment, watching the road blur beneath them. Danny's all I have left of her. All I have left of that choice I made. If I lose him, you won't. Jake's voice is iron. We won't let that happen. They pass through Greenfield at 10:14 p.m., the small town's main street, empty and dark. The formation draws stares from the few people still out, faces turning to watch this army of motorcycles flow past like a river of chrome and purpose. Your grandfather, Maggie shouts. Robert Brennan. He was good, legitimately good. If I hadn't been there, he would have taken Daytona that year. Said it was an honor to lose to you. Said you earned every second of that win. The bikes cut through the night like a promise being kept, like justice taking shape in engine sound and leather and collective will. Route 47 appears ahead, the turn that leads to Henderson, to the industrial site, to Danny. Maggie's hands grip tighter, not from fear anymore, from readiness, from the knowledge that she's not riding alone this time, that Phoenix has found her flock. The Henderson industrial site appears through the darkness at 10:35 p.m. 3 warehouses, rising like tombstones against the night sky. 4 cars are parked outside the middle building, their shapes visible in the dim security light mounted on a rusted pole. No other signs of life. Just those cars and the warehouse with its broken windows and the knowledge that Danny is inside. Jake's fist goes up. The signal. The formation breaks smooth and practiced, bikes peeling off in both directions, circling the warehouse like wolves surrounding prey. 32 motorcycles take position in a perfect perimeter, headlights all turning inward, engines idling at that specific RPM that creates maximum sound without movement. The noise is apocalyptic, a physical force that vibrates in the chest cavity. That makes the warehouse walls tremble, that announces power and presence and absolute commitment. Maggie slides off Jake's bike, her boots hitting cracked asphalt. The other riders stay mounted, engines running, a living barrier of chrome and steel and human will. Jake dismounts beside her, Tommy and Derek and Sarah taking positions at his flanks. The warehouse door opens. One man emerges first, young, maybe 25, hand hovering near his waistband. Then another. Then 4 more. 6 total, spreading out in a defensive line, trying to look dangerous, but their eyes are wide. Scanning the bikes, counting, realizing they're outnumbered 5-1 by people who clearly know what they're doing. They weren't expecting this. They were expecting an old woman alone, desperate, easy to control. The middleman speaks into the doorway. A 7th figure emerges, older, maybe 40, wearing an expensive leather jacket that looks wrong on him. Too new, too clean. Marcus Webb. Maggie recognizes him from his voice. He's trying to maintain composure, but his jaw is tight. His hands are loose at his sides, but his shoulders are rigid. He takes in the scene with calculating eyes that can't quite hide the fear underneath. 32 motorcycles, 32 riders, engines that could surge forward at any moment, headlights that turn the warehouse entrance into a stage with nowhere to hide. Webb forces a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. This seems excessive for a simple business transaction. Maggie steps forward before Jake can stop her. Her walk slow and deliberate, age evident in the careful placement of each boot on cracked asphalt, but her spine is straight as rebar. 68 years old, and walking into the lion's den with 32 engines growling at her back like trained wolves. She stops 10 feet from Webb, close enough to see his face clearly in the converging headlight glare, far enough to maintain the power dynamic that's already shifting in her favor. I'm Danny Sullivan's grandmother. I'm here to pay his debt. Her voice cuts through the engine noise, clear and steady and final. Webb's eyes flick past her to the wall of motorcycles, the riders sitting motionless as statues, hands resting on throttles, every headlight pointed at him like accusations made of light. He's recalculating fast, trying to find leverage where none exists, trying to maintain control of a situation that slipped from his grasp the moment 32 bikes surrounded his operation. Well, he says, drawing the word out, forcing a smile that looks more like a grimace. Things have changed since we talked. It's 15,000, sure, but there's interest for making me wait. For the inconvenience. Call it 17 now. The engines rev in perfect unison. Not a surge forward, but a reminder. 32 throttles twisting slightly in synchronized warning. The sound building and dropping like a predator's growl. Webb's crew shifts nervously, hands hovering near waistbands but not quite touching, not quite committing, because they can count and they understand mathematics even if their boss doesn't. Jake steps forward, smooth and certain, places himself beside Maggie, his presence calm but absolute, a wall of muscle and certainty and barely restrained violence. It was 15,000 at midnight. It's 10:37. He taps his watch for emphasis. We're early. The price hasn't changed because the deadline hasn't passed. Basic math, Webb. Webb's jaw tightens, his eyes going hard, and his hand starts moving toward his waistband with a kind of slow deliberation that means he's about to make a terrible decision. The movement is barely started, just the shift of his shoulder, the beginning of his arm dropping, when 30 throttles rev in perfect unison. Not the gentle warning from before. This is different. This is the sound of 30 engines surging to the edge of engagement. A wall of noise so loud it drowns out thought. So visceral it vibrates in the bones. So unified it makes clear that these riders move as one organism with one mind and one purpose. Webb's hand freezes, doesn't complete the movement, just stops there halfway to his weapon while his brain processes what his body already knows. He's outmatched, outgunned, and out of options. His crew has backed up another 3 steps without meaning to. Their defensive line completely broken now. Just 6 scared men facing a force they never anticipated. One of them, the youngest, actually has his hands raised slightly. Universal signal of surrender that he probably doesn't even realize he's making. An older rider dismounts from the back of the formation, his movements unhurried and certain. Walter Kemp, 74. The man with the trophy from earlier. He walks forward with his cane tapping against asphalt, past Jake and Maggie, stops 5 feet from Webb, and plants his cane like a flag. You know who this woman is. Walter's voice carries the weight of decades, of authority earned through years of riding and living, and refusing to back down from punks with more attitude than sense. This is Phoenix. Margaret Sullivan, racing legend. She beat every man on the professional circuit in 1979, took championships 3 years running, made history when people like you were still in diapers. Webb looks at Maggie, really looks at her now, and something flickers in his eyes. Recognition. The name Phoenix means something even to dealers and criminals because motorcycle culture runs deep, runs through every level, and some names transcend boundaries between legitimate and illegitimate worlds. Everyone who's ever thrown a leg over a bike knows Phoenix, even if they've only heard the stories. She's got more honor in one ride than you'll have in your entire life, Walter continues. And these people behind her? They came because she needed them, because that's what riders do. That's the code you'll never understand because you're not one of us. You're just a parasite using our culture to sell poison. Webb's face has gone pale under the headlight glare. His hand drops away from his waistband, hangs loose at his side. He looks at the envelope Maggie's still holding, at the wall of riders, at his own crew that's clearly ready to bolt. The mathematics have become undeniable. Maggie pulls the envelope from her jacket, holds it up in the headlight glare where Webb can see it clearly. This is what we have. $14,000. It's more than Danny borrowed 6 months ago. More than he ever actually owed you before you started adding your interest and your threats. She takes one step closer, her voice hardening into something that carries echoes of the woman who dominated racetracks 40 years ago. His debt is paid. Webb's eyes narrow, his brain still trying to find an angle, still searching for leverage. I said 15. The deal was exploitation, Jake interrupts. A scared college kid and a predator. That deal's over. Webb hesitates, looking at his crew, at the bikes, calculating odds that don't favor him in any scenario. His mouth opens to argue, to demand, to try one more time to maintain control that's already slipped through his fingers, like water. Sarah dismounts from her Indian Scout with deliberate slowness, her boots hitting the ground with purpose. She walks forward through the formation, through the line of standing riders, pulls an envelope from inside her leather jacket, stops beside Maggie and holds it out to Webb. That's 1,000 more. Now it's exactly what you asked for. 15,000. Your price, your terms, your deadline hasn't even passed. Her voice drops low and dangerous. So take the money. And Danny walks out of that building right now. Or we stop being polite about this. The 2 envelopes hang in the air between them. Maggie's and Sarah's, 2 women refusing to back down, backed by 32 riders who've made their position clear through presence alone. Webb stares at the money, at the women, at the impossible situation he's found himself in. His hand trembles slightly as he reaches out and takes both envelopes, his fingers closing around them with the grip of someone who knows he's been beaten but can't quite accept it yet. He doesn't count the money. Doesn't need to. He turns toward the warehouse door, his voice sharp and brittle. Bring the kid out. Movement inside the dark doorway. Footsteps. Then Danny emerges, stumbling slightly. 19 years old, with a bruise darkening his left cheek, split lip crusted with dried blood, hands shaking, but alive. He's alive and walking, and his eyes find Maggie immediately. Find his grandmother standing in a pool of headlight with an army at her back, and his face crumples with relief and shame and desperate gratitude, all mixed together. Maggie moves before her brain registers the decision. Crosses the distance to Danny faster than seems possible for 68-year-old knees and a hip that complains every morning. She reaches him in 4 strides, her hands going immediately to his face, turning it gently to check the bruise, the split lip. Her fingers running down his arms, checking for breaks or injuries. Her eyes can't see in the harsh light. Danny's crying, the tears cutting tracks through the dirt on his face. His voice breaking on words that tumble out desperate and ashamed. Grandma, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what else to do. I needed the money for books and housing, and I thought I could pay it back, and then I couldn't. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Maggie pulls him against her chest. This boy, who's taller than her now, broader, stronger, but still her grandson, still the 4-year-old who held her hand at his mother's funeral. We all make mistakes, Danny, every single one of us. What matters is, we fix them together. That's what family means. Her voice cracks but holds. That's what these people taught me tonight. Danny's arms wrap around her, holding tight, and she can feel him shaking with relief and shame and the aftermath of fear. Over his shoulder, she watches Jake turn to face Webb, the exchange done, the money taken, but the message not yet complete. Jake's voice carries across the space with absolute finality. Debts paid, transactions complete. But let me be clear, Webb. This territory's done with you. You pack up. You move on. You find somewhere else to sell your poison. The implication hangs in the air like a guillotine blade. 32 riders still mounted, still waiting, still ready. Webb clutches the envelopes, his crew already backing toward their cars, the young one practically running. Webb tries for defiance, for one last show of strength, but his voice comes out hollow. "You can't tell me—" "We just did," Tommy says from his position at Jake's right. Webb makes the only smart decision he's made all night. He turns, walks to his car, his crew scrambling into their vehicles with the desperate speed of people who understand they've been given mercy they didn't earn and won't receive twice. 4 engines start. 4 cars pull away from the warehouse, headlights cutting through the darkness, taillights disappearing down the access road. The bikers hold position, engines idling, watching until the last red glow vanishes into the night and the sound of those engines fades to nothing. Only then does Jake raise his fist. The signal. "Stand down." Danny rides behind Sarah, her instructions simple and direct before they mounted. "Hold on tight, don't lean against the turns, and breathe." Maggie stays with Jake, settling into the familiar position behind him. But everything feels different now. The formation reforms with practiced ease, 32 bikes rolling away from the Henderson industrial site at 11:04 p.m. But the urgency is gone, replaced by something slower and more deliberate, peaceful. The return ride takes 50 minutes instead of 40, because Jake sets an easy pace, no rush, letting the night air wash away the adrenaline and fear and tension of the last 4 hours. Maggie rests her helmet against Jake's back, feeling the rumble of the engine through her whole body. And for the first time since that phone call, she allows herself to simply exist in this moment. Danny is safe. Her grandson is alive and riding 20 feet behind her. The debt is paid. The nightmare is over. They roll into Red's parking lot at 11:43 p.m., and the diner's lights are blazing, the closed sign flipped back to open, and Red standing in the doorway with a grin that splits his weathered face. Inside, tables have been pushed together, coffee's brewing, and platters of burgers and fries are emerging from the kitchen like Red knew exactly when they'd arrive and what they'd need. Danny dismounts on shaky legs, Sarah steadying him with a hand on his elbow. Then the bikers descend, not threatening now but welcoming, each one approaching to shake his hand, to grip his shoulder, to make him understand he's not alone. Danny tries with each one, his voice cracking with earnestness. "I'll pay you back. All-round buy. All-round place. I swear I'll get a job. I'll work weekends. Marcus Chen cuts him off with a gentle shake of his head. "You're Phoenix's family. That makes you ours. Family doesn't pay back family." The phrase repeats like a benediction, as each rider refuses his promises, his money, his debt. Tommy approaches Maggie where she stands by the counter, holding that 1,982 Talladega trophy with its tarnished silver and faded engraving. "Would you sign it, please?" His voice carries the reverence of someone meeting a hero who was supposed to be mythology but turned out to be real. Maggie takes the Sharpie. Red offers, braces the trophy against the counter, and writes her name below the engraving. Her hands are shaking worse than they did in the parking lot hours ago, but this time it's emotion, not fear. Gratitude so overwhelming it has nowhere to go except out through her trembling fingers. Phoenix. Margaret Sullivan. The name she thought she'd buried 40 years ago, resurrected by strangers who became family in a single night. 3 days later, Maggie's Triumph sits in Jake's garage with its engine housing open, surrounded by 5 bikers working in comfortable silence, punctuated by the clink of tools and occasional bursts of consultation. Jake's hands are buried in the fuel system, replacing not just the pump but upgrading the entire fuel line with modern components that'll give the vintage bike another 50 years of life. Tommy's polishing chrome that hasn't gleamed like this since 1972. Derek's rewiring the electrical system. Sarah's overhauling the suspension. They work together like a pit crew, like family. And when Maggie arrives at noon with sandwiches and coffee, they present the Bonneville like a gift she's already paid for 1,000 times over. Danny's enrolled at Valley Community College for the spring semester. His tuition covered by his scholarship, His books and housing paid for by weekend shifts at Red's Diner, where he washes dishes and busses tables and learns the value of money earned instead of borrowed. Red treats him like the grandson he never had, teaching him the rhythm of the restaurant business between lunch and dinner rushes. The Iron Valley Riders held a vote on Tuesday night, unanimous decision in under 30 seconds. Maggie Sullivan is now an honorary lifetime member. Her name added to the club roster. Her vintage Triumph riding in formation at every rally with a place of honor beside Jake's Harley. The small bike doesn't look out of place anymore. It looks like history, like legend made, tangible. Jake visits every Thursday evening, pulls a chair up to Maggie's kitchen table, drinks coffee that's too strong, and listens to racing stories from Phoenix herself. How she took Daytona's Turn 3 at speeds that made grown men pale. How she learned to read a track like some people read books. How racing was freedom until family became more important than freedom. And how that choice cost her everything she thought mattered, but gave her the only thing that actually did. The mockery turned to family in one desperate night. The legend became real and discovered she'd never stopped being real. Just stopped believing anyone would care. Margaret Sullivan, at 68, finally has the brotherhood she rode alone without for 40 years. The family that understands what it means to choose protection over glory, to choose community over isolation. Her trophy case at home, dusty with decades of neglect, has a new addition front and center. Not a racing trophy, a framed photograph taken at 10:37 p.m. on a September night. 32 motorcycles arranged in perfect formation around a warehouse. Engines running, headlights blazing like stars brought down to earth, protecting one of their own. In the corner of the frame, barely visible, an old woman stands with her spine straight, and her grandson safe beside her. Phoenix rides again, and this time, she's not alone.